welcome back to another update. In this update, I'm going to show off some of what I've been working on. I have been working on the UI system, and I know I said I was going to work on missiles and weapons, but you know, things are subject to change as development needs change, and I'm going to be implementing some of the command layer programming along with what I'm doing, so I kind of need the UI interface done so I can implement it. It's a time issue. It'll save me time if I design it this way, having at least the UI interface that I can plug stuff up and test things. That way I can test the UI interface and test the commands that they'll be implementing at the same time, right? So when you're building a game by yourself, you really gotta focus on your design, but also designing it in a way that you can test multiple things simultaneously. Uh, because I'm the designer, the programmer, the tester, so I got to be efficient in everything I do to make headway on this as fast as possible. Um, in this update, I have started on the UI screen for battle groups. I've also implemented the BattleGroup and Squad system, which allows ships to be assigned to battle groups and squads within each team. Currently, the ships that are spawned in here are assigned basically at random to random battle groups and squads. And currently, the way I have it set up is I can I can left click, and it will highlight all the ships in that squad, and it'll pull up the battle group. It'll pull up the battle group interface, combat interface. And if I select another one, it'll go to different battle groups. If I right click, I can select just a squad, but I don't have, if you right click on a ship, it'll select just that ship and its squad. So basically there's going to be three UI panels interfaces, which is going to be the battle group control interface, the squad control interface, and the fleet control interface. Well, four, because there will be an interface to display individual ship information. So I'm designing it so that the player will have a level of control down to the level of each ship. They can control the entire fleet. They can control individual battle groups and individual squads within battle groups. So basically the play style will be up to the player if they want to micromanage everything, or if they want to more manage it in a more broader scale and stick to fighting and flying ships around, because eventually there will be the flight controller. You'll be able to fly ships around and blow stuff up, so that will be a part of the game. And some players may not want to engage in the strategy and tactics aspect of the game. They may just want to kind of let that run itself for the most part, where they don't, put as much work and effort into it, and just fly around in their ship and just blow things up with extreme prejudice. So I'm keeping that in mind, that there will be multiple options for the player to play depending on what they want to do in the game. If they want to engage in the tactics, or if they want to just play the space action arcade style flight simulator and go around killing everything in sight, or a little bit of both. You'll be able to switch between the tactics view and the tactics combat view, and also with being within the cockpit of whatever ship you're in. And there will be basically eventually a top-down view of the battle space. that will also allow you to control things. From a zoomed out perspective, as well as being able to fly into the battle itself and look around with a free flight camera. So, what else is there? Oh yeah, so I don't know if I want to talk about the resources at the moment. There will be support logistics resources in this game, which you see up ahead above. Keep in mind that these icons and stuff I'm using are just temporary because it is time consuming to try to find the right icons to use, something that matches and looks good. So I just kind of threw something in there that was kind of similar to what I want for now, so I can just keep moving on with the programming aspect and setting up the interface. There will be supply, spare parts, and manpower. The supply is going to go to your support vessels, and there will be support transport ships that ferry supplies and manpower to and from your capital ships, as well as ships on the battlefield. These will be small courier vessels that will basically spawn and run from your transport ships. Also, ships within a certain range of your transport ships or supply ships will be resupplied. Weapon ships will have fuel and ammunition and missiles, and they'll consume a certain amount of supply. Okay, every single bullet fired will consume supply. The distance and the weight of the ship basically will determine how much fuel is consumed, and when they run out of fuel, they will be dead in the water. They will be considered disabled. But if they have turrets, their turrets will still fire until they run out of ammunition. Okay, spare parts. There will be a type of supply vessel that can repair other ships, and you will get, it will consume spare parts for that depending on the ship. And also the level of the repair ship. Ships will have levels, and there will be a leveling system, basically a rank system that will increase certain stats on ships as they perform their duties or rank up kills. That has not been implemented into this interface yet. That's something I'm still kind of working out at the moment. Oh, and manpower. Okay, so as ships take damage and they start taking hull damage and also damage to their components, right now I don't have the component system in place, but there will be components on capital ships such as fuel containers, targeting array, and they'll be highlighted. As you can see the orange targeting indicator on the turrets. They will also have their own indicators, and other ships will be able to target and damage the components on capital ships and disable certain aspects of the ship. Okay, so there'll be fuel containers, silos placed somewhere on the capital ships, and if you take them out, it will remove the fuel from that ship, and that ship will basically be dead in the water. Unless you have a repair ship that can repair it, that has enough spare parts to repair that component, which will take time and a certain number of spare parts depending on the ship and the size of the component. Basically, its capacity. Okay, its fuel capacity or its ammunition capacity. So there will be ammunition containers and different things on the ship that you'll be able to blow up. Basically, they represent each of the different types of resources that can be consumed. And as far as manpower goes, there will be a type of support vessel that carries crew and will ferry crew to and from different ships that consume manpower. When ships take hull damage, they will also lose a certain number of manpower depending upon the type of weapon that hits it and the impact magnitude of the hit itself on the hull. Okay, so basically, if it's a little laser fire damage that causes a very small amount of damage to the hull of the capital ship, very little manpower will be lost. If it gets hit by a large missile, okay, or a mine, or something that causes a large explosive impact to the hull, then a lot more manpower will be lost, depending on the type of weapon. And there will be other factors as well as potentially armor upgrades and things like that that will be done on the board game level on the research panel. There will be a research panel, and you'll be able to upgrade various aspects of ships, including their weapons, their hull, and their different capacity types for different types of resources, such as fuel, ammunition, and including manpower. So there will be an upgrade system on top of a leveling system as well. What else is there? Okay, so the actual panel itself for issuing orders to ships, I'm working on. This is not what this is going to look like, but this will be scrollable. Okay, so I'm still working on these elements right here. But basically, they will list your squads, and you'll be able to just scroll through them like this. Okay, there will be. I'm not going to add a scroll bar to it. You can just drag and scroll. Okay, and to issue orders, my idea for this is to keep it basically as simple as I possibly can, so it's very easy to learn and get into for the player. And what you will have here is a selection, okay? Basically, and what these orders will apply to, you can either do all, which will apply all the orders to all the ships in this battle group, or you can do capital ships, support vessels, or any combination that you want to do right here. And there's basically going to be a posture and the orders that you're issuing, okay? The posture is going to be things like the targeting, and I'm not completely done with this yet either. So when you click on these buttons, there's going to be a slide up, okay, that will slide upwards and have more buttons going up above each one of these buttons. I know I forgot to turn my mouse cursor on here, so I can't show you, but basically some buttons will pop up above each one of these when you click on it, and they'll have different types of commands. So like targeting, for example, you'll be able to set the posture of the turrets on the ships that you have selected to different modes, like select certain types of targets, to select the primary target, okay, of the ship, or free fire mode, where the turrets will just target nearby enemies. So there's going to be different targeting modes that you'll be able to set as far as the posture of the ship and how it targets and engages. There will also be a range, and that will basically be you'll be able to click on a ship and drag a radius sphere around it, and the ships will attempt to maintain a range around that ship that you have set. Okay, and there may be some other commands when it comes to the range posture setup. And then resources will control how the ship behaves as far as resource consumption. Okay, so how fast the ship goes, its speed, its there will be fire settings for the turrets, such as burst mode and stuff like that, that will control the rate of fire and the rate of resource use for the ship. And then as far as orders go, those will be when you click on position, a couple more items will pop up, such as move to position, follow, okay, and then also you'll be able to set a waypoint chain. So if you wanted to go from one position to another position to another position, something like that, and follow a set of coordinates across the battle space, you'll be able to do that there too. And then attack will be attack a single target. You'll be able to select multiple targets with The first one in your selection being the priority. So basically the order that you select multiple targets in will be a priority targeting. And so there'll be a couple different attack modes for orders, and then also defend and retreat. And these are also going to be horizontally scrollable, so I can expand and add more to them as development progresses. But this is good enough for now for what I need to do. If I come up with more commands that I can implement for the player to have even greater control over the ships, then I will add them to this panel in the form of a button roll up, basically. And so that's basically that for now. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Really helps me out, you know. And stay tuned for more updates. I'm going to keep working on the UI until I get it to a point where I'm kind of happy with everything. And then I'll be moving on. But I still have these other UI panels to go ahead and start getting set up as well. And it's kind of time consuming to do the UI. I'm not really going for making it perfect right now. I just need it to be functional. So I'm not as concerned about the look of the UI or the aesthetics, but I am concerned about making it easy to use, okay? Because I need it to be easy to use for me to reduce development time, right? I don't want a complicated interface that is time consuming for me to use to issue the commands and test the systems out. So it's vitally important that the interface is very simplistic and easy to use and understand. At some point after the interface is done though, and after I get the weapons done, I will be starting on putting in the support vessels and building out the systems for the supply courier ships that will run to and from your capital ships. But to do that, I need at least another capital ship for each team for me to test that system out and start building the resource system. A lot of work to do. That's going to be a little bit down the road before I can get to that. But in a nutshell, the game, before I ever get to doing the actual flight sim, the flight simulator with the cockpit, ships and cockpits and all that, the game will actually be playable before I do that. Meaning you'll be able to engage in a combat scenario, one team against another, from start to finish until one team wins, and just using the command tactics interface to control fleets. That way, I can start doing the board game, and I think that last will be the flight sim, because I'd rather get the game functional and playable with just the fleet tactics command, just because I don't time constraints, in other words. I may want to release the game without that, without the flight sim, if I have to. I don't really want to, but if I have to do that, then I will, right? So I don't want to overload myself too much but I do 100% want to have the flight sim in here. That's a big part of the game is not just commanding the fleets and controlling the combat tactics of the fleets, but also flying around and blowing stuff up, right? Basically, all the 4X games I've played, strategy games, space strategy games, I've always wanted to be able to fly around it. I mean, and be a part of the battle besides just being, in an overview, top-down overview of the battle. Like think of Stellaris or Sins of a Solar Empire. There's a lot of games where you just wish that you could fly around and just be like in the battle, you know, flying around. And that's exactly what this game is intended to be, is a strategy game where you command the fleets similarly to like Stellaris, or Sins of a Solar Empire, but the difference is you will be also able to fly around in it as a space sim with a flight controller, and in it within the context of the cockpit of a ship. Okay, you'll be in the cockpit, flying the ship around, being a part of your fleet. So, anyways, thanks for watching. I could probably ramble on forever, but I got way too much work to do to be doing that. And everyone have a good day, and remember to like, share, and subscribe, and check back often for updates.